All right, I think we're about ready to start here. So I'll start off by welcoming you guys to our Tap Hunter webinar, Why Carrying Craft Beer Will Make You More Profitable, hosted by our very own National Accounts Manager, Andy the Beerman Kopic. So today is the first of this three-part webinar series. Many of you have already registered for the following two webinars, but if you haven't had a chance to register yet, I'll be sending the registration links out tomorrow, along with the video recording of today's webinar. So first, we're going to be learning about why carrying craft beer will make you more profitable. And at the end of the presentation, we'll have a quick Q&A time. So feel free to type your questions into the webinar box and send them in at any point. Then we'll go through them at the end. In total, with the question and answer in the presentation, it should take about 15 minutes. And then afterwards, we're going to roll into a quick Tap Hunter demonstration. So many of you are already familiar with Tap Hunter, with the Tap Hunter tools, or you're an existing Tap Hunter customer. So feel free to drop off at that point. However, if you're interested in how the Tap Hunter tools can help save you time and money with your beverage program, then feel free to stay on and join us. Total, we won't go any more than 30 minutes. All right, so without further ado, I will introduce you to our webinar host, Andy the Beerman Kopic.
Thank you, Kara. I appreciate it. Hey, thanks everybody for joining us today. This is part one of our three-part series concerning craft beer. As Kara mentioned, the topic we're going to cover today is why carrying craft beer will make you more profitable. We found that most people in the beverage industry, you may have heard, that you can make more money selling craft. And I thought it would be helpful to dig into why that is and how bar owners can start taking a harder look at getting a better return on investment for their taps real estate. Real quick, just to introduce myself, Andy the Beerman Kopic. I've been in the hospitality and beverage industry for over 20 years. Most recently was beverage coordinator and lead bartender for Stone at their original World Bistro and Gardens up in Escondido. I was the beverage coordinator, oversaw their entire draft, bottle, wine, and sake program. And I was also lead bartender for the Liberty Station location, responsible for staff training, staff education, proper service, glassware, all that fun stuff. And also have done sales and marketing for Green Flash. And in the last couple of years, I have been the national accounts manager here at Tap Hunter. As many of you already know, consumption of craft beer is definitely on the rise. Just in the last 5 years, craft has risen from only 5% of all beer sold back in 2010 to 11% of all beer sold in 2014 by volume. That's more than doubled in 5 years, and it does not appear to be slowing down anytime soon. What's really exciting is in 24, the craft beer volume produced surpassed the volume of Budweiser that was produced. So that's the first time that's ever happened. So that's kind of exciting. And what's really even more impactful than just the volume sold and consumed is the financial growth that craft beer has experienced. The craft beer market was worth, just short of $20 billion at $19.6 billion in 2014, 22% growth over the prior year. While that accounts for 11% in volume, it's 19.3% dollar share. So the dollars are even better. And it's a $100 billion industry. So, just short of $20 billion in total dollar share. From a profitability standpoint, obviously craft is where it's at. And we're going to discuss how you can consider incorporating craft more into your lineup in the coming slides and in our next two webinars. Over the last 7 years, craft breweries have grown by 125%. It's double-digit growth year over year. It's absolutely incredible to see how many new breweries are opening up every month. We're based here in San Diego, and it's been fun to be part of the craft beer scene here and watch the market close in on 100 breweries. 15 years ago, when I started, working in the craft industry, there were just right around 30 breweries, so we've more than tripled in 15 years. There's applications for many more all the time. Being here at Ground Zero, there's always something new to try, new breweries popping up seemingly every other week. So it's always new styles and fun things to explore. One of the misconceptions about beer is, selling macro kegs is more profitable or they're more valuable than your craft kegs because you're going to go through more of them. You're going to sell, a higher quantity or higher volume. So you sell more, you make more. But an interesting way to look at that, I want to look at the math behind the macro and craft kegs to see where you as a bar owner or retailer can come out ahead. For example, we have a macro keg on the left, purchased wholesale for $110, selling macro pints for $4 each, which is pretty close to the national average. Multiplied by 120, supposed to get 125 or so, but we understand with overpours, spillage, things like that, comes out to about $480 gross on that keg. In that $110 number we came up with, more or less the national average for a macro keg that we found. So you subtract that $110 initial purchase, and you're left with a $370 net profit per keg. On the right, we have a similar formula, but of course we've substituted a craft keg in there. It was purchased for a little bit more than the macro keg, roughly $150, which is kind of in that ballpark of what you're going to pay for a craft keg. It can be sold for $6 a pint or even more, depending on your market, of course. The gross is $720, and if you subtract out that $150 initial purchase, it's a $570 net profit, or $200 more than if you were selling that macro keg. And again, that price can vary depending on your market. It could be even more, profit in your pocket depending on pricing. The phrasing seems a little silly, but each of your taps is part of the real estate that you manage. You have your building, you have your bar stools. We've all watched Bar Rescue and heard John Taffer talk about how much each bar stool is worth. And then we're going to talk about how much each tap is worth. You need to start seeing your tap handles as profit centers, just like your bar stools, just like your patio. Depending on the current tap lineup at your bar locations, think about the profitable possibilities if you threw in just even a couple more craft handles. This can turn into hundreds, if not thousands, of extra dollars in the cash register each and every week. Handle variety will start bringing in a new kind of patron as well. The customer that's going to seek out more local and more unique options, someone who tends to spend a bit more and is more likely to come back if they like what you serve. If you find yourself, still offering the same lineup that you had 10, 5, or even 2 years ago, you're really leaving money on the table. The fact is, craft beer drinkers spend 25% more on average than your mainstream beer consumer. Educating yourself or a member of your staff on craft beer, you can hone in on a much larger profit margin right away with minimal upfront investment. When you draw in this crowd, not only will your sales margin increase, but your overall check value increases as well. They tend to spend more. That means that more money, not only for you, but for your bartenders and for your servers. So you're more profitable and your staff is a whole lot happier. And we all know it's much easier to do business with a happy staff. If you have several popular macros on your draft list, consider moving them to a bottle or can option. Craft beer, replace the real estate with something you can sell a little bit higher. It's an efficient way to still offer your old reliable brands while still keeping up with the craft brew trend that your customers want. And going back to what we had talked about as far as real estate's concerned, now you're charging a little bit higher rent for the exact same property. So, more profit, more money, it's always a good thing. Your target audience, which we're going to get into a little bit more in parts 2 and part 3 of the web series in the coming weeks. But that target audience has never been without choice. That's a pretty interesting way to think of it. Someone that's turned 21 in the last 15 years has always had multiple beverage choices. When I turned 21, I basically had 3 choices. It was Bud, Miller, Coors, and maybe, Hamm's. So the difference now is they've always had multiple choices, and they're walking away from mass-produced beers in droves and continually looking for new experiences and unique flavors. According to craftbrewingbusiness.com, 84% of craft beer consumers will choose a beer depending on the season as well as your other availability. Seasonality is huge in the craft beer world. Brewers are always releasing seasonal beers, whether it's spring, summer, winter, fall, or just because it's time for something new. So it can't be ignored, the fact that you always got new stuff coming out. The restaurant and retail world is changing. people are looking for better beer options. Set your goal to make your establishment a place where people know they're going to get choice, and they'll love the fact there's always a good selection. Uh, Nothing like going, the same place, same thing, as they say. More and more people are looking to see what you're pouring before they make a restaurant choice. Mobile tools, people want to know what people are serving before they go out. So it's a great way to keep awareness in front of you and make sure you have consistency with those rotating handles. And that's really kind of wraps up that first segment of what we're talking about here. Just to kind of review what we've covered, you know, facts are facts. Craft is growing both by volume and by dollar, so that's more money for you. New breweries are opening all the time. 3,400 breweries with 2,000 currently with applications in to open in the next 12 months. It's a great opportunity to, pardon the pun, but tap into the growth of craft beer. And remember that each of your taps is definitely real estate. Charge more, for that real estate. Craft beer drinkers definitely spend more, not just because you're charging more per pint, but they also spend more on food, etc. And they also have come to expect choice. Actually, they demand it. And consistency and brand awareness are key. Make sure people know the brands that you're carrying and be consistent with your service as well. And we'll get into a little bit more about some of the service tools and things moving forward. Kara?
All right, thank you, Andy. Very informative indeed. So now we're going to roll into a Q&A session. If you still have some more questions, feel free to send them in. I think we have about 3 right now. And if we don't get a chance to answer your question, we'll send out a response in a mass email, so you'll still get an answer. So the first question, let's see. My patrons seem to like macros, the typical Bud, Miller, and the lighter stuff. I don't want to just completely change what I have to offer. How do I mix in craft best? All right, Andy?
Oh, absolutely. We mentioned earlier in the slides, try moving some of the macro from tap to bottle. That still gives them the option, but it also opens up that real estate for charging a higher rent for the craft beer, craft handles. And you can also maybe take a look at adding. There's some great craft pilsners out there, whether it's Oscar Blues, Mama's Little Yellow Pills, and Avery has got Joe's Pilsner. There's some great lighter craft beers out there, so maybe you can get some transition there, and who knows, you might get some converts.
Cool, thank you, Andy. So the second question I have here says, I've had my bar for 6 years now. I know what I like to drink, but I'm not too in the know about craft beer. How do I pick a good mix of craft options?
Yeah, that's one of the hard things is when you do decide to move on to craft, how do you kind of figure out what you're going to pour? We're going to cover a little bit more of that in one of the later webinars, but a quick way to learn more is, just ask your staff, where do they go in their spare time? What bars locally might have a good craft beer scene? I mean, find out what the guys around you are pouring. Find out what they're serving. Ask your bartender or bartender's thoughts as well. You'd be surprised sometimes how much knowledge you already have in-house with your own staff. You could also check out, some of the online sites, Beer Advocate, Rate Beer, craftbeer.com. Those are also great ways to see what's out there as well.
Awesome. All right, we just had another question come in. What about location of your establishment? Is that key for your craft drinkers?
From at least from what I've seen, location is less important than the variety and the selection and the quality. People will go out of their way to drink good craft beer. I know I drive, from the part of San Diego I'm in, I'll drive 10, 15 miles depending on, the restaurant location, what kind of variety they have. And thankfully, I use the Tap Hunter mobile app so I can kind of see what they're pouring before I go there. So if someone's pouring something special, I'm definitely going to go out of my way for it.
Great, thanks. All right, so it's the last question here. If you have another question, feel free to send it in, and we'll either get you an answer via email or we'll send one in shortly. So this question says, we use Facebook and have a website, but aren't sure how else to let people know what we have on tap. No new people come in if they don't know what we have.
Well, that kind of goes in with that last question, getting the awareness out there. One of the ways you can do that, of course, is by using the Tap Hunter tools. So if you want to stay on the webinar, we are going to run through a few high-level tools kind of to show you how we can help you better market your drink offerings. If you're currently a Tap Hunter customer or familiar with Tap Hunter already, feel free to drop out. We just kind of want to cover some of the quick overview of how that platform, once you started moving into craft, how do you get the word out to more folks? But make sure you join us for our next couple webinars in the series. The next one is going to be May 19th. Our topic is going to be how to stay relevant with your audience. And the last in this series will be how to make craft beer work for you. That's coming up on June 2nd. These are all at 11 a.m. Pacific, or 11 a.m. 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. See, it confuses even me sometimes. But again, thank you again for coming. And if you haven't registered already, register for the next in the series, and we'll get you all hooked up there. And just a real quick, don't want to waste your time. Quick overview of the Tap Hunter tools and how we can help you streamline some of the managing and marketing once you move into that craft beer realm. What we want to do here at Tap Hunter is really help sell more drinks. That's really the bottom line for you and for us as well. We do that by engaging your customers through our mobile tools, educating your staff. You can use our dashboard and our mobile app to help keep your staff informed so they know what you're pouring. Keep your guests coming back, of course, and really grow your fan base. It's a really simple platform to use. You log into the Tap Hunter dashboard, you update once, our tools take care of the rest. I like to say change the keg, we do everything else. We will literally update your website, your social media, digital chalkboards, print menus, all with the click of a button. Digital displays have become extremely popular, and we'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. If you are printing your menus, you can use our standard templates, which are actually quite robust. You can do the list with your logo at the top. You can sort by categories, short descriptions. You can even do spirit and cocktail lists with the Tap Hunter tools as well. So if you have a little bit of a more spirit and cocktail focus, and craft beer is kind of like the third part of that, we can help you integrate all those tools together to really promote your entire beverage program. I mentioned the digital drink displays. Everybody's walked into a bar and seen the chalkboard. This is basically an electronic chalkboard or digital chalkboard for you. I've personally fallen off ladders trying to write on chalkboards and change tap handles, things like that. So not only can it be safer for your staff with digital drink boards, it's also just a really sharp look. You can customize these as well. We have some standard templates that you can choose from, different backgrounds with your logo, with descriptions, pricing, pretty much cover all the bells and whistles for you on the digital boards. And then this is really key, as we mentioned earlier in the webinar. People are going to your website, probably mobile, but they're going to your website. They want to see what you're serving. This is a great way to integrate your draft list into your website in real time. Again, you update the Tap Hunter tools. It will update your website in real time. It's literally one line of code, set it and forget it. It enables our data feed to talk to your website. It'll have the same look, feel, branding, and integrity of your website as well. We'll also link together your social media tools. Facebook, most folks don't know this, but you can actually add buttons to your Facebook fan page. We'll show you how to link that together to your Tap Hunter menu live on your Facebook fan page as well. You can post directly to Facebook from the Tap Hunter platform, and we'll even send tweets out to your Twitter followers and tag the breweries in there so the breweries know what you're pouring, and they can go ahead and favorite or retweet out to their audience, depending on local legalities, of course. And then customer engagement is a key. Once you get folks in the door, let them know you're on Tap Hunter and have them follow your location. Once they follow your location, every time you update your list, your fans will get a notification on their phone letting them know that you've put new product on. And then they can also favorite individual beers, beer styles as well. So if I want to follow Sculpin IPA, one of the most popular and fast-growing IPAs in the country, and based right here in San Diego, I follow that beer, and every time someone within 50 miles puts that beer on, I get notified. I can go a step further, go to that little more tab there, and I can go ahead and favorite the American IPA style so I can expand my horizons with different IPAs that may be similar to what I like as well. And you can do the same thing with the spirit tools. Keep folks engaged, alert them when your favorite product goes on. And then we'll also pull all sorts of cool information, lots of digits floating around the ether there. We'll see how people find you, what beer they're finding you by. We can see how often that you're being seen on the Tap Hunter mobile app, on the Tap Hunter website. We'll see what days people are searching the most. And this is really cool for you as well as you move into more of a craft offering. We will see what the top favorited beers across the platform are and the top searched for beers across the platform as well. That can really help you with those buying decisions that you asked about earlier. How do I know what to pour? You can always check in the back end of the Tap Hunter dashboard and see what the popular beers are, and hopefully they're available in your specific market as well. And that's pretty much how Tap Hunter works. If you want to learn more about Tap Hunter, be sure and email Kara. It's Kara@taphunter.com. Or you can go online, request a free demonstration at gettaphunter.com. And don't forget to join us for our next 2 webinars in the series. The next one coming up, how to stay relevant with your audience. That's May 19th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 Pacific. And how to make craft beer work for you, coming up June 2nd. Again, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Pacific time. Thank you again for joining, and we appreciate it, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Cheers.